This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news of the business of podcasting. Brought to you by Spreaker from iHeart. I'm Tom Webster. Here's what you need to know for today, Monday, March 4th. First, from Digiday, podcast companies see signs of an improved ad market in 2024. Well, it's once again earnings call season, and 4 biggies in podcasting have posted their numbers for the fourth quarter of last year. iHeartMedia, Spotify, SiriusXM, and Acast all report their podcast revenue had positive year-over-year growth in the quarter, and a consistent message among company executives was signs of an improving advertising market heading into this year. Cumulus Media's earnings call reported an 8% loss in podcasting year-over-year, but noted improvement in the back half of the year. IAB Australia has published their 8th edition of the Audio Advertising State of the Nation. The report, prepared from IAB Australia's online advertising expenditure report by PwC Australia, finds podcasting accounted for 99.1 million Australian dollars. The total Australian online audio advertising market amounted to 265.8 million, representing 4.6% of the total 2023 expenditure for general display advertising. Libsyn AdvertiseCast has updated their monthly tracker of podcast advertising CPMs, that's cost per thousand impressions, to include February's data. The average price of a 60-second ad spot across all audience size brackets is $22, an increase of 30 cents in January. To put that into historical context, the highest podcast CPM average on AdvertiseCast since the tracker started in January 2020 was $25.40 in January of 2022, and the lowest was $21.06 in September of 2020. With the February uptick, podcast CPMs are starting to climb back up in the direction of 2023's peak price, which was $23.34 last March. From Digiday, NewsGuard debuts new automation tools for tracking election-related misinformation. With a new presidential election season in the U.S. comes a renewed threat of political disinformation campaigns. In preparation, news rating service NewsGuard has launched their Election Misinformation Tracking Center. The center uses NewsGuard-developed AI-assisted tools as an early detection system for election-related misinformation. The goal of the database? To log misinformation and all possible associated metadata, including related search terms, to create a fingerprint that can be then used to track down the sources of harmful content. NewsGuard reports seeing a higher percentage of misinformation using manipulated media, such as doctored images and audio clips. Something for the wider podcast industry to keep in mind as the election cycle spins up. With newer and better generative AI tools becoming available by the week, it's never been easier or cheaper to produce convincing audio. And Co-Host, the podcast analytics platform and audience insights platform created by Quill, is conducting a survey for professional podcasters. The form, currently available until March 15th, aims to collect information about podcasting challenges, wins, and key experiences. The survey takes about 5 minutes to fill out. The link is available in the show notes, and I would appreciate you doing it. And some new additions. We're adding a new occasional segment to the download to specifically spotlight new hires and new podcast deals in the industry. First up on this inaugural new additions, and that's not new addition, by the way, for you boy band fans, it's new additions. Former Stitcher and iHeart Media executive Sarah Van Mosel has been hired as SVP of Podcast Strategy at SiriusXM. And Vox has a couple of new podcasts coming, having recently signed partnership deals with Washington Post columnist Taylor Lawrence for a new video podcast and Julia Longoria for a new podcast in collaboration with Future Perfect. And for the rest of the news, Spreaker has launched a new podcast web player. IAB Australia has published the Crime Pays Report, a look into the audiences of true crime podcasts and the advertising opportunities therein. And Serial, podcasting's closest contender for Song of the Summer, has announced their 4th season will debut on March 28th and will revolve around the Guantanamo Bay detention camp. The Download is written and produced by Brian Barletta, Gavin Gaddis, and me, Tom Webster. This episode is hosted on Spreaker and recorded using Nemono. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Tom Webster. Download us again tomorrow.